Let me say good morning, and welcome to our listeners, welcome to our viewers. It's to the point. It's Monday, the 23rd day of March, 2026. Listeners and viewers, good morning to you once again, especially those who via social media platforms. I hope everyone had a great weekend and looking forward towards a productive week this week. Let me say good morning to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning,
Mr. Richard McPhail, welcome back.
Good morning, GT.
So McIntyre just take 2 weeks off just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
I took 2 weeks off. That was national business, yeah.
All right,
yes,
you took 2 weeks. Well, welcome back. Nice to have you folks back. Last week I had a little bit of tweak in the program. I had a different guest popping in because, of course, the unavailability of you being here. So, but
the GT was on last Monday.
Yes.
But that was by request, really and truly.
Yeah.
Because there was a special thing that they wanted to have done. So we allowed that program. I was called respectfully.
All right.
I requested for that Monday for that. Right. And so, yes.
And that was taken care of. So how's everybody been? It's been an interesting week last week. Intercall. I had the easiest work week last week.
Yes, you don't want to speak about Intercall. I heard you and Innocent and how nice you felt about everything is having to just come into the studio, and watch thing run.
That's it.
Yeah.
I had a really nice, quiet week last week.
I wish I had one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't.
You didn't have a quiet week like that?
No, and then, unfortunately, the Intercall results was not
in your favor.
Well, Grenada won, actually. And St. Andrews Anglican, congratulations to them for the Intercall games and so on. Hats off.
Yes.
St. Andrews is one big family.
Yes.
I don't think it's just about St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School. But I was hoping that the GBSS was going to drink some Nawasa sauce.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
They didn't have
it wasn't cooked enough.
That particular direction.
And looking at the athletes, it seems that SAS would be there for a while.
Yeah.
They have a pretty young team. And
give it what it is. I think SAS came with a better game plan.
Yeah.
I think they rallied around themselves. The numbers, they fill in the numbers. Mm-hmm. I think the coaches and so on, congrats to them in terms of strategy, I think. And once you have the numbers and you have the field events and you are placing, it means that your points will keep rising. I think they had that.
And then remember, they don't have the same facilities in terms of the track.
Well, if you go to that end where we start speaking about Intercall as a review, but if you go to that, I think there are ups and downs, and sometimes the play feels uneven to an extent, because I don't think the demographics of St. Andrew, people have already taken that into consideration in terms of the amount of secondary schools in St. Andrews and how the numbers could feed into the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary. Mm-hmm. And if you check the St. George, the Spurs as well, you'd find the Grenada Boys Secondary stands on its own, but you have other strong schools around in St. George. Yes. You have Happy Hill filling in a lot of students.
You have presentation.
You have presentation brothers
Happy Hill and
putting a lot. Well, presentation. Right. Presentation brothers called pulling a good number. Boca is pulling in a good number.
Yes. Surprisingly so.
JW Fletcher also pulling a few number. So that will obviously affect the ability for St. George, as the people tend to believe that you only have 2 schools in Grenada. Yeah. But on the other hand, when you look at St. Andrews, in terms of the number of secondary schools you have in St. Andrews, you would find that the largest parish would more or less gravitate to the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary. Okay. You have the Grenville Secondary given a small amount, and then where else do you have in St. Andrews?
The Grenada Christian Academy.
And they do not. Yes. But when you look at it,
convent,
and I will say on the girl side again. Yeah. It kind of so when you look at it in terms, not that they have a marked advantage, even the whole system of how they train, and how they diet, how they eat, and what they do.
Good food.
I think that has a lot sometimes to do with the difference. And I think generally, I think standing out in terms of how the Intercall played out and the schools that won, congratulations to them, both in the girls and the guys division. Yeah. I mean that's remarkable. But if you look at the rally, if you look at how they celebrated, you realize it's not just students and parents. Yeah. You realize it's all of a parish.
Yes. Everybody was partaking. Everyone partaking. Right?
When we have wins in St. George, You
It's
don't.
GBSS.
It's GBSS.
Oh,
And Anglican High
It's round
School.
out to a school thing.
Yes.
St. George.
Yes.
And not just the parish
Parish.
gets involved. you know?
Absolutely.
I was a little disappointed with that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think when students have their thing, students should have their thing. That's just my
Okay.
take in terms
Okay.
of it. And I saw, especially in terms of the social media aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes was taken back a bit in terms of how the adults get involved.
Right.
You know, and in terms of the criticisms and stuff like that.
Right.
I think, you know, and someone was making a statement, maybe we should have it on a weekend. I think it's like a normal school day.
Oh yeah, it is. And
Technically, you
the
take-
Principals Association insists that parents should guide the children into those 3 days. They are school days.
Yes, school
and
days,
so
yes.
they
Of course,
if they go into the
we
national
don't have it
stadium,
on a weekend because I ain't
No, no,
getting
no.
to leave
No, no,
work.
no.
I ain't getting to leave work to come to the
come to the events on weekend for Carifta.
Yes.
And
National champs,
and-
etc.
Right.
And the Whitsuntide games, etc. is not always even on the weekend because depending on when the holiday fall.
Yes.
Those are the weekend games when those special meets are generated. When you have the intercollege year and you have the primary school.
It's a school event.
It's a school event, and that's why I am disappointed that day 1 and day 2 they weren't a lot of students.
That in terms of the turnout.
The turnout.
It's like everybody waits for the final
For the
day
final
Yes.
to come out, you know. And I think it should be where the Principal Association, as you mentioned,
Push some
hey,
more.
you have to be at the games. It's
That's
like
correct.
It's like a normal school day.
Yes, a normal school day, and encourage parents to send their students out. If there has to be some subsidies or whatever it is to help people who might not be able to finance
Probably
3
to
days
come to
St. George. I think nationally maybe they should look at that.
Yes.
The outer parish and the people that may have those challenges. If you want the intercall day 1 and day 2 to feature more prominently with students, I think they could be given some level of subsidy, subsistence allowance,
Yeah.
whatever it is
Even
to help
from a
parents.
school to schools and stuff,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
a couple of
That's correct.
buses made available to carry the
Maybe have a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Once a year or twice that is designed to help students to get to the intercall, to make it a school event, make it a nice gelling together of supporting your school, because each day have highlights.
Yes.
And maybe as well.
And
the
very good
schools-
highlights.
the
Huh?
schools could organize buses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
children.
The school could organize their own fundraising system, and they set buses that will help. Parents will chip in, I'm sure.
And that's where
I could-
past pupils also could get involved.
Past Pupils
Yes,
You
Association.
understand? Instead of being on the and quarreling about the schools, that's where the past pupils could get involved. And I think, 'cause, you know, it makes you, when you look at it, when you see how the past pupils are behaving, remember, I think that was when you had your time there.
Yes.
You understand? And I'm not against you supporting your school or your
Yes.
alma mater, you know, but I think you should leave it up who's there in the present.
Well,
You understand?
I have a slightly different view on that, or while I support your point, but I think, as we were saying, it feels like a family event.
Yeah.
Your alma mater, you want to come out, but some people overdo it. I
Yes.
think that's the point.
That's where I'm getting at.
Yeah, they get too
Emotional
involved in emotion and all that.
involved.
Allow the students to make their back things and so forth. But I don't think the human nature, we could really cover it too much and tell people how they get in. But I just want to say this before we finish though on Intercall. There were some concerns that came out of Intercall, and I want to give some flowers to the medical team again.
Okay.
Yes.
People don't see, and we mentioned it
Yes.
before the
Yes.
games,
Yes.
the quality of work that goes in behind the scene.
Yeah.
There are a lot of volunteers who are there picking up people on stretchers and everything else, and sometimes it's difficult. And the emotions that you feel when students and athletes get on the inside and so on, that is a lot to deal with. And then the challenge of the medical issues and the physical physio issues that come in a lot. The physios that work there and the doctors and nurses from the hospital and the volunteers, I really want to commend them, Dr. Noel, Dr. Philip and others, and Dr. Maguire, and some of the volunteers who come out from Red Cross, we have a new team there called the FAST. Mm-hmm. They are the first aid support team. And they work fast and effective.
All right.
You see them in the orange vest, etc. outside. You like that, right?
Yeah.
And I want to really thank the volunteers who rallied and supported the system. That is good. But I think one of the greater concerns coming out, one of the physios spoke about it, and I think the chairman of the Grenada Athletics Association, or the president, spoke about it as well. Coming into a massive event, Carifta, we think that, in my opinion, the coaches had to be more mindful of the individual, the athletes. And we think that some of them were pushed too much. I think they had too many events. The events were clashing. Some people had to be coming from long jump, high jump, and they had to be running.
Yeah.
Some students, like the 400-meter hurdle, it's a grueling, punishing event. For a 400 and an 800 meter sprint is hard on an athlete, and to see an athlete come in and run a 400 hurdle, he goes back and have to do the 100 meter or 200. That has been, and I think they have to be mindful.
So it was not that enough rest space between the
recovery period.
Yeah.
And so you tend to come down with some muscle aches and so on. It takes a little while when you have the lactic acid and all that coming through and will give them those pain. You have the hamstring acting up and a few muscle issues. And the muscle and the cells, they require a period of time to resuscitate themselves and rest and water, etc. Those little things, electrolyte and all that they need to get the system back. Rest is most critical to everything else. So the rest period for recovery is, we didn't think that was sufficient for the athletes. And so the concern going into Carifta is whether or not the body would be walked back because of their workload. And I think the strategy has to be, you should look at, there is already a short list of Carifta athletes. And I think that going into the intercall games that is so close, 2 weeks ahead of Carifta, I think they had to be looking at those athletes who were shortlisted and balance the workload that you give them and have them to function in the areas most that you expect them to perform at the Carifta games. Okay. And whatever else you need to build them up, the longer distance athlete, and they will need the sprint to be able to help them with the finishing and all of that. So you kind of work at it a little bit, but you don't want to overwork them. They're not going to be long jumping and high jumping for Carifta. But you want to get points for your school and all of these things, so you force them into that and you overwork their muscles. And I think really and truly, my heart went out for a lot of these athletes who came in and they were in pain. Some of them were crying and so forth. And
those are the kind of conversation we don't really hear.
Right.
You as an onlooker, you may not know that is taking place.
Absolutely.
Except you're really concerned and you're paying attention. Well, I've seen him run this race or you've seen her run that race before. Right. Then you may put some add one on one, as they would say.
Yes.
But sometimes we never knew that is what is taking place.
Exactly. And sometimes I look at the physios and the rest of us who putting some effort there, and I say, wow, you guys are miracle people, because we see athletes come in, put them on the bed. Sometimes you have to actually massage the muscle. We have to actually use the different creams, hot and cold and all of that, and different strappings and so on that they require. And those athletes come in and you think they have to be ruled out. And later on you see them in the events, and it's like,
they walk back out and
so
again.
Those kind of a thing, I think people don't see that happen behind the scene. And had there not been that kind of a support, medically and physio from that point of view, I don't think we're going to see a lot of those results. And we're hoping that kind of an intervention played out positively, so that we can get better performances going into the Carifta games.
Okay. We do for a break, our first break in the session. When we come back, we continue with our conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the point, Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch.
Your life is yours, your future's in your hands, your body is yours, that's why you need a plan. You gotta plan your family, avoid HIV, get the education from the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association. We offer STI screening, gender-based violence counseling, prenatal and postnatal checks, injectables, condoms, pap smears, and other sexual reproductive services. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Pointu Street, St. George's. Whether male or female, it doesn't matter. We're here to make your life better. Grenada Planned Parenthood Association. For appointments, call 440-3341.
A trip to Grenada from April 4th to the 6th, 2026. A decision you'll never regret. This isn't just any destination. It's where passion meets performance. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games, hosted at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium in St. George's. Under the theme, Passion Drives Performance. The best of the Caribbean's junior athletes will compete in electrifying track and field competition. Organize now and be part of an experience like no other, where talent, passion, and perseverance come alive on the land of 100,000 Jab Jab. Feel the passion, celebrate the performance, and create memories that will last a lifetime in pure Grenada, the land of warmth, spirit, and unstoppable energy. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games.
Every generation has its moment. A moment when a nation decides to build something greater. For its people, for its future. For Grenada, that moment is now. The government of Grenada invites the entire nation to witness the groundbreaking ceremony for the new General Hospital under Project Polaris. Be there as we break ground on a future where every Grenadian has access to modern, world-class healthcare. Friday, 27th March, at the Project Polaris site, Calavini, St. George. Arrive at 3:30 p.m. The ceremony begins at 4 p.m. sharp. Bring your pride, bring your hope, and witness the beginning of a new chapter in Grenada's history. Project Polaris, building the future of healthcare, building the future of Grenada.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to our viewers. Once again, it's to the point for today, Monday, the 23rd day of March. Yes, 9:23 and on the 23rd. Time on the time, right? Time on the date, how they would say.
Yes.
Welcome back, gentlemen. Welcome back. You know, we didn't get that get a little statement from Mr. McIntyre, of course. We know, as you mentioned in the intro, it was national business.
Yes.
You went. That was not for much of a personal nature. You went to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Tell us in reference to the recovery efforts in Jamaica right now as it stands. The hurricane has passed, and you know the recovery effort is always the toughest part after that happened. How was things in Jamaica as it looks for you being on the ground for the last couple of days?
Yeah, well, there were some things. I'm starting from the bottom of that. I was really taken in awe to see the level of recovery where they are. In a nutshell, remarkable.
Okay.
The recovery process has gone well. They almost 100% back with electricity across the country. Imagine that they were beaten just beyond 50%, and in 3-4 months' time to get up to almost back up to 100%. That is remarkable, and I think it has to do a lot with how we rallied around each other. The Caribbean electricity entities that provided, including Grenada, provided that support in helping Jamaica. All of the main arteries in terms of electricity, they back up. The main cities and towns, including St. Elizabeth, Black River, that they say that they have to rebuild. The hospital, they removed the roof and all of that, so they're going to probably push a lot of things back. But electricity and power and water were back in the places that already don't have electricity are those places that are not ready for it, to be honest. Okay. But all the major points, the water pumping station, they needed power and they were using generators and all that. So power is back really in those areas. The debris removal, I was really taken aback that they really moved the debris tremendously. The zinc and so on, you could hardly see zinc around. In some places going through Westmoreland, connecting to St. Elizabeth, you can see a bit of zinc in some places there, but most of the zinc and the debris have been removed and placed in holding areas. You can't even see those because they're not in obvious sight. Okay. And so the zinc have been compacted, and they're doing that so that they can, do recycling of those. So all in all, the recovery process is going well. What we did was from the CARICOM point of view, because I was invited by CARICOM to have responded to the impact in end of October, was it? Yeah. And so I spent a month there. But after that period, you leave country to put their own system back in place. But what has to happen is you do an after-action review, and this is what we had to do. Look at how the system of CDMA through CARICOM responded to a nation that was affected, including we did a little fall back into Grenada's recovery as well after Beryl. So these are some of the things you look at, what you did well and what you can do better and what did not go so well. Jamaica has not done their own after-action review in total as yet. But what we did was, because Jamaica was the key battleground for 2025, we used most of the resources from CARICOM was expended towards Jamaica. So we looked at how CDMA with the other island, how that system went. We look at a lot of things, how that could have been done better going into 2026 and beyond, and that in itself paid quite a bit. I have a dashboard in terms of the level of impact. I probably will give it a next time in terms of the total cost. The death toll was surprising, still maintained 45. They had over 300,000 persons who were displaced and so forth. And the impact on housing, which is the most critical thing, there are still a few people who are in shelter. Not a lot, but because some of the schools were damaged, they have to go back. Some places they still have a few persons in shelter. Okay. Understanding if you have 300 and something thousand people that need homes and so forth, is a lot of houses. And some of them were what you call, there's another name they call them in Jamaica for people who claim lands, like government lands or private property, or you call them, they don't call them squatters. They have another name, I forgot. Okay. But a lot of these, they have challenge in giving them, rebuilding and all of these things.
Because of title.
Yes, title and so forth. Yeah. But the area called Border Town, it's the town between Black River and Westmoreland. That community is something like Guave. They have like a fish and fry evening and so on. It is a nice commercial entity for tourists and locals to go to. That was destroyed. Within days, they started pulling back together. I went back and I was amazed. They hold things back. And all the stands and stall were up, and people's name and what they're selling, they were up, and it is back running. So the commercial entity and the life in Jamaica, they're getting back, and thanks to the people from Grenada and the rest. I do not want us to close our eyes. Jamaica still, they need that support. They've been given a good bit of money and everything else to help recover, but when things happen, the support that we give as Caribbean people, we must continue to do that. I made a special appeal at the conference for the diaspora response to be better coordinated. And that has something to do with even how, when things happen in Grenada, how we do it. That how the diaspora and people outside, they want to support we must be able to guide them. People tend to want to send boxes and barrels and everything else for the individuals in the middle of the crisis. Yeah. That don't go well. So we hope that, diaspora entities, they can be advised appropriately, tell them, you can pack your containers, figure what is really needed, speak to your disaster officers, they will guide you through the process, and that will happen more seamless. People still quarreling in Jamaica that they have not gotten the box on the bar. Yeah. But you're going to be pushed away somewhere, trust me. And I saw that happen to Hurricane Ivan, when people try to have done this thing. Maybe up till now, people have not gotten this stuff. Yeah. In the middle of a crisis, not the time when you just want to be just pushing things out and expect them to get the individual. It wouldn't happen.
I understand that. I mean, because with all the other bureaucracy that's involved, it's difficult to pay that individual attention.
And you know what? And they're saying people who send barrel after they get in it, they would get it because the situation now is
different.
It's different. Yeah. During the crisis, they would push it aside someplace and deal with what is the relief. They can't go and try to find people's name and find to look at. That wouldn't happen.
I mean, everybody's focused on other things.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen.
Everybody's focused on other things.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into the meat of our conversation this morning.
Yes.
We want to talk about our focus a wee bit on road courtesy.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit of a concern not only it's a bit of it is a concern in Grenada.
Big concern.
So we want to throw the challenge out there to our listeners and viewers also.
Yes.
What do you think? What do they think about the road courtesy situation in Grenada?
Yes.
Is it a big of a problem as we see it as drivers and other road users? Mm-hmm. Or is it something that is just not too worrisome?
I'm not preempting anything, but a few people are going to call and they're going to hear the comments.
Yeah.
That, Richard, you will agree with me, is a vexing situation in terms of the courtesy people extend towards others. And in particular, there's a group that complained. I was speaking to a very noble gentleman a couple of days ago, senior citizen retired and so forth. And he was telling me, Mr. Mac, you all need to really speak on it because the drivers know they are so uncouth, they are so discourteous, they yell obscene to drivers. Especially the senior citizens. They'll tell you, get off the road, you're blind, you can't see, why you don't pack up, why don't you get a driver, and all this kind of stuff. And it's not just saying it like that, but they use the obscenes.
Yeah, but don't see, I was told once if I just learned to drive.
Yeah, well, that's the normal.
If I'm just learning to drive,
you remember
someone who was walking in the back of the vehicle,
right?
Back of a vehicle.
Okay.
Tell me, you're just learning to drive. I don't like.
You remember I mentioned this on the program one time when a driver told me if I was a baby, I'd drop on my head. I was on the road driving, and I pulled into a vehicle to come out, and he was coming the opposite direction waiting, and the guy just drove down towards me, and he looked, and then he started yelling those stuff.
No, the courtesy has become a problem.
Yes.
Folks will see there's a narrow passage. Yes, it may be a two-way road, but the obstructions that we see from time to time on roads in Grenada, especially narrow roads, where folks are allowed to go both ways.
Yes.
And the obstruction may always be on their side.
Yes.
But they will come in.
They come in. Yeah, they come in.
And will make you feel that you're supposed to go back for them to pass and all of these things. Something you just want to alleviate the argument, so you may just do what you have to do to get moving.
Yes.
But folks are very uncourteous in Grenada.
Right.
But the courtesy, right, goes beyond that.
Tell me.
I had somebody meet me last week or week before and complain about the trucks.
What truck? The big trucks?
The big trucks.
Right.
With the loud horns.
Right.
And he made a very significant point. Now, persons working in the night, trying to get a rest in the day, to go back to work in the night, and these loud horns, right? They're coming through River Road, and these loud horns just blasting. Even at nights, they play the horns.
Why River Road had to come in?
Why River Road? I just
the person
I'm not Pedmota.
The person that complained lives in River Road.
Okay. Right? But a gentleman actually, I think, calls from that side up, and he calls on this program
all the time
and speak about it.
And those horns are really annoying.
Right.
But also, once again, our listeners and viewers, if you want to chime in on the conversation, I didn't get the WhatsApp up, but if you want to chime in on the conversation this morning, we tapping you in pretty early in terms of the courtesy situation in Grenada.
Right. We want people to speak about it, but what we also want is we don't speak about an issue, GT, because this is to the point.
Yes.
And we always seek for solutions, way of addressing it. What do you think we can do differently about the situation? Because in a number of different ways, what's happening will impact road safety, to be honest. Because when you yell obscenes and when you try to intimidate, especially the female drivers on the road with those big trucks, they kind of try to they want to pass over. And you see those young females, they start trembling. They lose their level of comfort and confidence on the road, and sometimes create accidents.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the other people, when you speak to them or you deal with them, you're driving particular ways. So, for instance, there's somebody you were speaking about. Somebody's on?
Yeah, we have a caller. Let's entertain the caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome. Via WhatsApp. Good morning.
It's really vexing, to be honest.
Good morning, Jason. Let's hear your contribution.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear the program this morning. As you touched concerning the athlete and the way the injury that is sometimes they sustain.
Caller, we sort of, that was a bit of our opening conversation this morning. We don't really want to divert back to that. We're talking about, the courtesy of drivers and so forth on the road. That's what we want to focus on in this particular segment of the conversation this morning.
But we're going to take it is like a piece from him and just
if you want to give it, but okay. I just don't want to get us distracted too much with it. Yes. Go right ahead, caller. Caller, you there?
Yeah, I'll say I was just trying to chime in on the athletics, and as you mentioned about it earlier, but it is not that is not the segment. Okay, then.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you,
good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't want us to get too distracted and then we lose focus on we lose focus on what we contribute about. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you here. And I really like the topic that you have this morning. It's something I've been struggling with and contemplating on what has somebody reasons why people become so intolerant. And we come up with three reasons. One is that people are becoming very agitated with the conditions of the road and the way that people are using the road. So we have so much traffic that people want to get really going. So anxiety is really playing a part of and naturally human nature is that we are here to survive, and I want to survive, and I want to get where I want to go. So whatever means and source that I must use to get my way is a natural human nature of us. So because of the conditions of the road and the amount of traffic we have now, we're slowing people down from getting where they want to go. It causing the rise of aggression and irritation. That's one reason. The other reason I think has to do with we are moving away from the culture of the colonial way, or if you want to say the traditional way of what to say, please and thank you, excuse me, and all of the things that we done in the past. People are moving away from these things, say good morning, hi. We're moving away from those cultural things that make us respect each other and value each other. And the third point is that people are now become not conscious, if I should say. They have a lack of fear of God. So, I mean, the time when people have the fear of God, it's like they respect each other and they put kindness and gentleness in front of their own so that he could look out for others. But now it's like, it's about me. I want to get what I want, and even the police, even our police system now is tolerating hustling and bad behavior in a way, I would say, because when we were children, we didn't fuss at that when they say the police will be killing, when the police station is some lash. But people fussing bad going on everywhere, like it's a part of a language. So,
Kola, but also actually, of course, you're making some important points. We'll actually take another 10 seconds and wrap, please.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, is that it needs to move away from God and respect for each other. The aggression with the nature to want to go with too much traffic and bad roads.
Thank you, Kola. Appreciate your contribution. Appreciate your Kola. The Kola, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
A lot of sense.
Yeah, she gave reasons.
It goes around to that values that we had.
Yes.
You understand? I like how she said we moving from those colonial.
So those are not excuses.
No.
She was giving very frank reasons why people behave so.
Yeah.
And then, how could we correct that then? What should we do? I think we get some intervention.
Yeah, we do have another caller. I guess we lost that caller there. The caller was a little bit impatient. But I see probably it's more than that, yeah?
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks have that aggression about themselves when they drive.
Yeah.
And probably it's ways that they get to display it.
And some other things exacerbated.
And there are other influences that they have.
Well, I was going to touch on the other influences.
Yeah. Let's take this caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Mr. McIntyre, special greetings to you.
Sir.
I'm calling in connection with the closure of the road from Pedmota to Windsor Forest, Vincent's. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Mr. McPhail says he is. I am not aware. Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. So, if you're closing the major road and you have to use the bypass, you'd expect the probably authorities to probably do a road survey in terms of vehicles on the side of the road and so forth and so forth. And in Shield Cottage, there is a vehicle that is parked halfway in the road. It's a derelict vehicle. And I think that vehicle should have been moved even before they closed the road. We have to be proactive. And there is some vehicle parked on the bow of a hill, and it is amazing to know probably the type of people that is I shouldn't say responsible, but the vehicle is parked immediately on the opposite side of that individual house. And that individual should be more responsible because I think he's responsible for the law. don't want to call a name, but people have to have some more respect as citizens right on the bow of the hill. And then you're talking about that, the lower Windsor Forest area. And there is a road, a hole across the road, and there is another big hole on the other side. So they're parking the vehicles on the better side of the road. So vehicles coming down and things. I mean, it's cause for concern. And I think that the authorities should get involved, because this is where you have to use all the traffic coming down. And then there is debris on the side of the road. The road is probably about 12 feet wide. And imagine you have a big truck coming down with a small car or two trucks. What would happen? Vehicle park on the side of the road. You have to put things in place that vehicles should not be parked on the side of the road, because you have a bulk of traffic coming from all over the country, Vincent's, Windsor Forest, and so forth and so forth. I think that the authorities should look into that and take some proactive measure, because nobody don't know how long they would close the road for the city. They are paving.
Yeah.
And I know they're doing maintenance on the road. So I hope that they take that into consideration. And that vehicle on the bow of the hill, and it is very important, because when you're going to do your driving, they tell you about parking on the bow of a hill, isn't it?
Yes, sir. The brow.
Mr. McIntyre, it's amazing to know the person that is living on the other side. It is really amazing. Do a little investigate, and even you two might be very surprised.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Appreciate your call.
Caller, that road is closed nightly as of today. The 3rd March, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. nightly.
Okay.
Right? So it's Pedmotor to right on to Vincent's.
But
9
p.m. to 4 a.m. nightly.
Okay, thanks for the help.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
So I was kind of anxious for this caller to finish, so I can really, because the point that he's been making is something that I've always spoken of in terms of how we project, how we plan, and I speak in the capacity as a regular citizen traversing a particular road, and there is a diversion, and the road where you are diverted to travel through is worse than the one actually that you're going to fix in most cases.
Yeah.
And what he's saying in terms of how do you put people through a situation like this, that in itself contribute to road rage, and the kind of a thing that people will speak about and be angry about. In my humble opinion, I think that if you are going to be doing some work on a particular strip of road, if you're going to do a diversion, you can do some temporary adjustment, like he's saying,
to the diverted
road.
Yes.
You get some. You advise the people who are parking in certain places that road is going to be used X time, so you engage them so they're not taken by surprise as well. You do some patching of some of the holes. You can do the chewing gum patch or the putty patch. Sometimes you do patch those holes. You put some things in those holes so that at least the inconvenience and the the discomfort is not as bad. So you make it a little bit. You spend a little to do the diversion road as you spend towards doing the road that is scheduled to be repaired.
For example, take the Woburn Road, the cliff, right? Yeah. When that project was about to begin, the residents in Woburn were given letters.
Okay.
Right? Advising them of the hours that they can park and when they can park.
Yes.
And if you notice during the day, daylight hours, you're driving in Woburn, there's hardly any vehicles causing obstruction.
So somebody did not follow up on the responsibility in doing that. So they have to do it everywhere. You can't do it someplace and don't do it other places.
Yeah. We will take a final caller in this segment, take a break, and we come back and
yes, sir.
Caller, you're live. Good morning, welcome via WhatsApp.
Morning.
Good morning. I beg you to be brief, please.
Yeah, I will be brief. I will snip it what I'm saying. What is happening in Grenada with the traffic, especially in the south of the island? This is imported culture shock. It's either you accept change or you don't accept change. I'm living in Toronto, and I had to change to survive in Toronto. When I came to Toronto in the city, and I meet people coming from the Asian country like Japan, China, Philippines, when you go in on the train, they will pass all under you, right? And then I'm a tall person. One day I asked a Oriental lady, why are you passing under me to get inside the train? And she told me that's how it is in the country. It's busy life. Nobody care about nobody. So they come here with this, to Toronto with the same mentality. Why I'm coming from Grenada with a slower mentality? So it's environment make you. And Grenada is either we change Grenada or we leave it so. If you want to have all this vehicle, give some foreign company a contract to build a highway and let it collect toll or develop other part of the country. That's my point.
Thank you,
develop the north or somewhere else.
Okay.
Thank you. So we drew for a break.
Yes, sir.
We come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the Point Classic Radio. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch it down.
Before the digital age, before the world moved at the speed of a click, there was a signal connecting a nation. In 1986, a journey in broadcasting began in Grenada, a journey that would grow into a trusted voice across the country. For 40 years, through radio and television, we've been there for the stories that shaped our nation, the news that mattered, the voices that informed us, the moments that brought us together. Your stories, your voices, your moments. The Grenada Broadcasting Network, 40 years strong. One nation, one network.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
Looking to take your business to new heights? Advertise with GBN on our social media platforms and get noticed by our 138,000 plus followers. Reach a massive engaged audience ready to connect with your brand. No matter your business size, GBN is here to help you grow. Contact us today at admin@gbn.gd or WhatsApp 407-8458 to get started.
Welcome back. So, Michael, we want to get into our conversation this morning. Of course, we was not getting the response from callers the way we wanted to, in terms of, how people react, that courtesy in terms of road use, But we also want to focus to, we've been given a highway code to study. When you're going to go for your driver's license and so forth, they say study that. half of the times I have noticed personally when I did it eons ago, whatever is in the highway code is not even the question that you get asked in the, for itself.
Yes.
So we ask yourself, what is the relevance of that highway code?
And what is the instruments that people use to study to pass an exam or to be properly fitted to drive on our national road?
Let's get that into a discussion this morning. Let's see how we're going to go forward to that.
Well, in terms of the exam, right?
Yes.
These questions have been there since when the devil was a little boy.
I don't think the devil was ever little.
Right? And so what you find happening is that persons will just get copies of the question.
Mm-hmm.
Review it. I will say cram it. I will say.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you know exactly question 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Yeah.
And you answer accordingly.
Well, nothing
that's the problem.
No, I don't think that is too much of the problem, because the point is, you have to pass an exam and you have to study for it, regardless of what. Somebody use past papers and so on for exam, and something's not the same thing. But the point is, there are some things in driving that just cannot change.
Yeah. I agree.
You have that's a given.
That's a given. You have to do it. Regardless of 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there are something that have to remain the same. So even if the question has been, or the exam has been set over years, there are some questions that must come.
Right.
Because there are some things that you must do. You're expected to do it. But the point about it is that people are taught and tell you, go study the highway code, like GT was saying, in preparation for the exam.
Yeah.
Now, the highway code does not teach you to pass that exam, technically. But the highway code is a guide to almost global or universal driving. There are most things in the highway code.
That's interesting.
Yes. It because some of the road signs and signals and everything here
is found in
they're not applicable to Grenada, because we don't use a lot of them in Grenada, because we don't have, you remember what it says?
Yeah.
How many highways do we have in Grenada?
We don't have them.
We have a stripper road.
Stripper road that we can
Morris Bishop Highway.
Name it. We just name it that way, but it's not really what we consider a highway.
So, and I want to give myself some time to delve into that highway code a little bit more, and I'm going to pull some sections and bring it up on the program and so on. I remember at one time Grenada was giving a license called Universal License. You all know about that?
Yes, I heard of it.
You could have drive here, given us a license that you can go to another state.
International
license.
As a matter of fact, I had one.
And there were some states that recognized and others who did not.
Yeah.
Now, what does international? At the time that was in effect, we did not have traffic lights.
No.
So how do you teach a person who has not been trained in using traffic light to go in another country then to use traffic light? Okay. And he has an international license.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing, that the advantage now with the highway code that the exam is not necessarily tweaked 100% towards is that if you study the highway code, it prepares you technically for the global stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the signs, symbols, and etc., and the activities and so on, it is geared for a lot of places, because you have double lane, single lanes, triple lanes, changing and all of this stuff. And they will tell you about when you meet the solid line means that you should not overtake on that side.
Right.
And the broken line mean that. And if you have a solid line going all the way through, and on the left of it you have the broken line, mean that you could overtake on that side and not the other side.
Yeah.
But where do we have that in Grenada?
Yeah.
Not many places, right? If any. So
Excuse me.
It leaves, and I want people to be able to delve into that, and we probably would get some feedback on that. Whether or not we should, it's like whether or not we should prepare our own driving manual or code that speaks to how.
That speaks of Grenada.
Inside of that, it can also have an aspect of defensive driving. It can speak on the culture of aspect of Grenada, some things that is unique maybe to Grenada that I mean some things that are unique to Grenada that you can look into. Because like I took some, and I will make that appeal sooner or later to enhance some of the road traffic signs and so forth. And one of them I took of Jamaica was the animal crossing sign.
Oh.
Is there any place in Grenada where you have animals that crossing that produces a hazard to Grenada? At one time we did. Do we really have it now? And on the strip of road that I was driving a couple of days ago, goats pass across the road all the time, and cows. At one time we had goats and cows and sheep traversing the Grand Dance Road on the same Morris Bishop Highway. I remember a good friend of mine knocked a cow down. His vehicle got seriously damaged. I remember one time some vehicle run across, some animal run across right under my fender and so forth, damage it and so forth. And I remember one time when you were driving up the West Coast, when you get to Perseverance, you had to stop for a good while.
Yes.
Why?
Cows.
Not cows, man. Only what? Pigs. You all don't know that?
I don't remember.
We had a set of pigs to block road in Perseverance going to the dump.
I never remember.
Yes, I remember
A set of pigs. I remember that. I was part of the extermination team from the SSU. Them we had to exterminate those pigs. We had to shoot them actually, because there were a lot of pigs up there.
I remember that.
And so forth. And people actually had to stop coming from the west or going towards the west. You had to stop for a while because the pigs were so many. They had to stop and allow those pigs to cross the road. I think now that we have a proper landfill, technically, we have alleviated that problem. But the point I'm making is that we have to be able to guide our drivers in a way to suit for the exam purpose, one, and in generally preparing them to drive here and to drive abroad. And our exam and so on, how it is designed, must be able to guide them to, and I think aspect of driving must be some aspect of customer service. So we need some probably authentic driving school that would insist on defensive driving, road courtesy and all that, because it has implication for road safety.
So you're saying the theoretical part of learning to drive in Grenada is poor of the road. Would you agree to me saying that?
I don't know if I want to use the word poor. I say it leaves a lot to be desired.
You go through the theory and
yes.
You understand that.
Yes.
That comes before you. Some folks do that actually before they get even to the driving part.
Yes.
But you think that should be enhanced?
A lot.
Should be enhanced.
And speaking one time, I think, was it maybe a year or two ago, I was speaking to a senior cop, and he told me that aspect was under consideration. They were considering doing some aspect, redesigning the exams, even the exams that people do practically to pass as well. You know, you do a 3-point turn, a 2-point turn, and so on. Sometimes when they do the 3-point, 2-point, you can't pass because traffic holding up the place where you do the exams.
So sometimes it's not even applicable for a lot of people after they have gotten their license.
Yes.
They may have some folk. I know some people who don't reverse at all. That's it.
But let me just make this point. I am certain
that
with the exam, the written exam,
yes,
if for whatever reason the police were to jumble up the questions, so you put
around.
question 1 as question 7, question 5.
They've done it.
Persons would fail.
We probably would not get that.
The pass rate would probably. No, but they've done it.
Yeah, because they would go there with the mindset question 1, so they answer without even reading.
That maybe is a lot of people who just focus on just tunnel. But I know they've adjusted the question. They've tweaked over the years. I've known many times they've done it.
Yeah.
They've tweaked the questions, but you have to get the same result because that's something that would not change.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they adjusted the question, the numbers. I know they've done it for the same reason, and they've posed some of them in different ways, but get towards getting the same result because there are some things you must do in driving on all roads.
All right. We're going to take a call. We're probably going to go into an extra 5 minutes or so in today's program this morning because I see the phones are going. We do have a caller. Caller, live. Good morning. Welcome. Caller, good morning. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't want to stay long. I just want to go to the basic facts. But
yes.
While I'm talking to you, conversation going on the phone. The problem with drivers today, I not only believe but know most of the young people that are getting license don't know nothing about highway code. They never buy a highway code. They never don't know a highway code. And if you have a highway code, the way they are driving, people will never drive so. Because they know nothing about braking average and them kind of thing between 100 miles and 60 miles and all them kind of things. The whole thing is people getting license without a highway code.
All right, thank you, caller.
So I think we mentioned on our program one time is the thinking distance, the braking distance, and the overall stopping distance. There's a mathematical formula to that, and that has its relevance in terms of the amount of speed you should drive and what speed and how you get the vehicle to stop or the vehicle to run. And then it also has to do with sometimes the distance you drive from somebody.
And the road condition.
And the road condition. All the design, those are important. So these are some of the factors that people need to learn outside of the few exam questions that are generated.
Okay.
And a lot of time people don't pay that kind of attention to it.
We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Hello.
Caller, good morning.
Yes, I'd like to give you a contribution.
Go right ahead, please, caller.
Now, first of all, I'd like to see that some of the people who are actually teaching people to drive, that the government put some system in place to make sure that they are certified lecturers. Because some of them lecturers, they're not teaching people properly. That's one. And that is a fundamental problem on the island right now. Number two, when it comes to the vehicles parking by the road, there is a portion in the act that says every person should have the parking space on the side. The dual carriageway should be always free. Okay? Now, that was a law since 1947. Okay? Now, nobody seemed to enforce that, like they abolished that, like they forget that. So all the vehicles park on the road. The second thing is that I feel what the government could do to deter people from parking vehicles on the road is to make sure that they charge them a healthy fee. Because in the revolution, they didn't have vehicle parking by the side of the road, so, and it causing obstruction of traffic and everything. A whole set of obstruction of traffic. And my third point is actually to deal with the whole big trucks on the road. I feel definitely that the government is doing their best in terms of trying to fix roads. That is a given. Now everybody has to cooperate and see exactly what is happening and how you could drive for you and somebody else. But some people, they feel they must come down and drive fast and you have to wait. You understand? That's one thing. The other part about it too is that is the logistics. They're doing the road and they're digging up a whole set of the whole thing, and then you can't do it. If you watch what they're doing over Granite now they get it right. As soon as they dig out the pressure test, then they fill up the road. And that is what they're supposed to do, because you can't leave all this amount of road exposed like for people to use. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. Thanks for your contribution this morning.
So one of the points the caller made that I want to fall back on is the obstructions that people have and the indiscriminate parking and the illegal parking on walkways. And I showed photos of the dusty highway just by Concord distributors down there. I mean, that road has been used, the sidewalk. I drove there a couple of days ago. And about 20 vehicles on the sidewalk. I don't know how that nobody else who's supposed to effect that aspect of the law have not seen that. It is just, in my opinion, it is really blatant and disrespectful. For you to be doing, it's not like somebody decided, but you know what? It's a busy time. Let me just thief a little break to run and get something in the supermarket to come back. If the police see me, well, hard luck, I'll take my little ticket. But people consistently running businesses, parking on sidewalk, obstructing other vehicles from moving from point. It's not taken up. And that aspect of it, I will speak about that until some correction. I don't mind. The negative feedback is likely to happen. And people tell you, well, the man need to make a food. Everybody need to eat a food. Yes, but you can't eat a food at my expense or my convenience or my safety. Find the ways, and I believe that there are some people who are genuine in wanting to have some business. They need, obviously, yes, to eat a food. If they have done something wrong, they should be given some time to correct it, but it should not become a permanent issue, because when things become too long, it becomes a habit. A practice becomes a habit, and then it becomes a culture that now it feels as though we all can do it and no problem to do it. People are opening business in the road. There's a guy I drove in an area one time. The vehicle's on the side, but part of the tail of the truck is in the road. Somebody veer from somebody who give you what you call a bad drive, you run into that, some child or somebody get killed. We have to be a bit more observant of it. We have to be more conscious of it and take actions more swiftly, more expeditiously, so that some things do not become cultured in us, that it becomes too long, and then authority have a big problem in dealing with when you decide to deal with people, start to demonstrate, and they do this. We have to nip the things early. And those that have been there, we have to address it. The same place I spoke about with oil and so leaching into the ground and into our waterways, down into the sea. That is something.
We did have some video aspect of that also when you did speak about it sometime last year.
Yeah.
We do have another caller. Caller live. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to your guests.
Yes, sir.
Good, Mr. McIntyre. I hear
yes,
what you said because I remember a former prime minister was trying to convince me that traffic light was not good for Grenada. It's waste of money. When I reach in New York, I can't cross the street. I don't know what light to cross on. So what you say is true. And my second point is that we all have vehicles come out in Japan. To own a vehicle in Japan, you must prove that you have a parking spot or you pay for a parking spot. You cannot own a vehicle in Japan by just buying a vehicle. So you have to prove to the government that you have a place to park the vehicle in your place, or you have to pay for a parking spot in some of the places we were renting parking spots. Otherwise, you can't own a vehicle. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for, of course. Mr. McIntyre, I think we come to that stage in the morning when we got to take a wrap for today's program.
And we wish we didn't have to take a wrap, right?
I know.
Nice.
Yeah.
It may be one of those programs we may have to have another segment on it.
We could,
Or
yes.
if not next week, another time, bring back this whole segment. Because, it's important that folks understand the courtesy. We didn't get enough feedback in relation to the courtesy. Part. That's what I was expecting.
And driving with due care and attention for others and all of that.
We didn't get a lot of feedback. I think
yes.
folks maybe haven't understand where the direction was going this morning.
Okay.
The courtesy part of the conversation. Because, it has become a problem in Grenada. Folks just don't care about another road users.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And another driver just don't care about another driver.
Yes.
Someone will overtake you just to stop 2 seconds in front of you.
Yes.
You do that all the time, and you wonder why you would even do it. You understand?
So as you mentioned it before you close, GT, we hope that people who hear of this and we're going to do a follow-up, they could probably do the research and tell us how we can deal with some of those things if you have to go back to schools, institution and family values in teaching people as to how they should respect each other. Because what you do in your home or in your institution, you bring it on the road too.
On the road.
Yeah.
So sometimes,
Penalties and consequences, I think that is what is missing.
You touched other points that we need to speak, of course.
Penalties and consequences. Folks think they can do things and nothing happens.
Right.
I think that's where the fundamental problem is. And folks, we do that. Folks say the police sees them and so forth, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
But even though you get a ticket, you go pay it, and you probably do it next week again.
Yeah.
You understand? I nothing I can pay 100, as some folks would say. I nothing I will pay 100. You understand? But I think if folks know, well, if I do that, it's going to cost me $1,000.
Right. I can't.
So that's where some amendments need to be in the legislation, and some amendments is needed.
Agreed.
Folks who are driving at unnecessary speeds, folks who are parking. If you know that you're parking every Monday morning, you wake up, you have to pay $1,000. You think you're going to find the parking of your car, right?
No. You'll sell the car.
You're not going to do it.
You probably sell the car because if you can't afford, if you can't resist.
If every Monday morning you had to shell out $1,000, you would not park your vehicles there.
I pay the bus.
You'll pay the bus or something.
Yeah.
It's just that, folks, we things can be done, and there's no consequences for our actions. I think that's where the problem comes.
And there are principles and laws. Grenada is not short of laws and principles to guide us, but I think, as a lot of people would agree, that enforcement has been the challenge.
Enforcement is a challenge.
Yeah.
And it goes across the board, not only in terms of the traffic, but across the board.
So enforcement and compliance. Some people don't want to do it, and they make it difficult for sometimes enforcement to do what they're supposed to do. So we have to be able to be good citizens, law-abiding, compliant, and then the other people who have to enforce should enforce.
And I have a come to you from someone. Someone is saying, I'm glad to hear you hear mention of the loud and disrespectful music that has been played in the middle of River Road, just in front of the Lake Postal. Is this happening? I am a senior citizen, and the music is played constantly on vacation, weekends, afternoons. I am unwell. I called the police, but no changes has happened. I am very happy if something could be done about it.
Yes, sir.
Gambling takes place even up to the early mornings, nearly every night.
Wow.
That is concerning.
Yes, that's a concern.
That is concerning.
And that is from River Road area.
Yeah.
I'm sure the authority will probably hear that and take a cue.
Well, she said she has called, the person said they has called the police, but it seems like nothing is.
But when the police understand that they've been put in the mirror, even on the GBN, they probably would move out a little bit more.
I know. All right. Once again, gentlemen, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Yes,
we can do this next week once again, once the Almighty permits. We'll be back to have another conversation with our listeners and viewers. Anything in closing?
Just be safe and be courteous to the next person you see on the road.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thanks once again to all who contributed. Have a good one. That's where we say goodbye.